Today, I want to share a little bit of my story with you that is not only about my weight, because there's a story behind my weight and how I got to gain 200 pounds and lose 200 pounds in that very short span of time. Like all of us, life hasn't been a bed of roses for me, but I want to talk to you about some of the trauma and pain I went through, hoping it will inspire you and encourage you. Because often in the comments, you let me know that you're in a hard place in life and that it's daunting and that it's stressful and that it seems impossible to you. I hope that in sharing my story or some of my story with you today, that you can gain some hope, that you can see that you're not alone and that other people have overcome similar circumstances and walked into a better life. So I guess I'll begin where it's natural in my childhood. And like many, I didn't come from a fairy tale family. I didn't come from a good family. My mom pretty much made very clear to me that she did not want to have had me from a very early age on. She did not have the capacity because of her own brokenness to love me at all. I don't think she has once in my entire life put her arms around me and said, "Oh, Easter, I love you so much." And I wanted her love so badly, but she was a very angry woman and she was always disapproving. I felt she was very mean. I felt she was very abusive with me physically as well. And this person who should have been my rock and should have been my firm foundation of love was somebody I was left feeling unworthy of and that I could never, no matter how hard I tried. And as the years went on, that meant trying in school, that meant trying to do my best at home, to do my best at everything. I strive hard in life to this day. And I know it's because I had so much pain growing up from not being loved. When my siblings came along quite a bit down the road, I was 9 years old when the first one was born, and there were three of them. I was left to care for them because she wasn't capable most of the time. I had to take care of them after school. I had to do their homework with them. I often went to parent teacher interviews with them. And in the middle of the night, if they woke up to go to the washroom, it was me jumping out of the bed, not her. I don't know how that happened. I was responsible for taking care of many things. And then there was a man left to care for me on a regular basis. And I can't go into details because of YouTube's policies, but let's just say it was bad, bad news repeatedly. And it really broke me. If I already didn't feel lovable, and this put a whole new slant on what made me worthwhile to a person. And it made me feel like bad people can do bad things to innocent people who don't deserve it, and that it's okay. It took me a long time, but I've come to peace with it. I've forgiven him, and I realized it had a huge impact on my life, but he was just a broken person doing broken things, and it's really unfortunate. So my dad was, I thought, very loving. He spent a lot of time with me. He taught me so much. He spent time teaching me about history. He taught me about human thinking. He taught me about the mind. He fed me books. He fed me information. And most of it was on the human mind because he had a fascination with the human mind. And he really taught me how to talk to people and have deep conversations. And he had me reading these really incredibly deep books when I was very young. And at about the age of 13 or 14, he started talking to me about when I was going to get married, how I would take care of him, how I'd find someone rich and I'd buy him a house and give him a big dowry. And I had to find somebody who would take care of him. And he drove this into me day after day after day. My mom used to say to me, "Oh, you're just a commodity to him. He's grooming you." I didn't even know what that meant on both counts. And I never would have believed it because I thought he adored me. But when I was 16, he came to me and said, "Oh, that man you met at the party for my work the other day, he wants to take you on a cruise and he wants to give me money for you to go." I was 16 and it broke me because I thought, who would put their daughter in a circumstance like that? And I ignored it though because I was so desperate to still feel his love. And when I did meet someone and finally want to get married, he asked him for $100,000. He asked me to buy him a house, and I said I can't. And he was very angry with me for not signing a mortgage and didn't talk to me for 2 years. And still, it didn't drive home to me that maybe this man doesn't love you the way you think he does. I still chased after his love because it's the only thing I thought of that was love in my whole life. These circumstances and these relationships just led me to find man after man after man after man who treated me the same way. Like I wasn't worthy of their love. I wasn't worthy of their time. And I tried to give everything I was in every relationship. I was selfless and giving, and it just never worked out. And it didn't work out because I was the broken one and I was looking to them for who I was. I was looking for them to show me that I had some worthiness instead of knowing that I brought it to the table already. I found people that were broken and incapable like I was used to. And I blessed them, but it was very difficult for me. It was very, very painful for me to think that I was never, ever worthy of a man's love through 4 relationships. And that's hard. That's really hard to deal with. So after my last relationship ended, I thought, that's it. I'm in my early 50s now. No one's ever going to love me. And I started to get really down, started to gain some weight. Then my best friend died, and that was the icing on the cake. The weight started piling up. All that pain I shoved down my throat with food. I tried to bury it deep inside. And at the same time, this incredible depression was calling to me. And I remember feeling like this whisper in my spirit, like, you're going to feel numb. It's better. You're going to feel comforted. Just come, come, come. And I fell for this lulling, numbing feeling, hoping it would give me a rest and a break. And it did briefly. It did briefly put me in a place where I wasn't feeling anymore and nothing was getting through. I remember listening to people talk and I was so deep down that literally the words would go through my head and then I think, oh, they're waiting for me to answer them. And I'd piece together whatever they were saying, like picking words out of this spinning loop that was going around. That is bad depression. That's serious depression. I had no clue. I just tried to get through my days. And then its voice changed very clearly. It went from this lulling, comforting, come deeper, it feels better to, well, nobody wants you anyways. What are you doing here? Why are you here? They're better off without you. Everybody's better off without you. You're better off without you. And I remember the first time I heard these thoughts in my head and thought, where the heck did that come from? Because that's not how I think. But they stayed for a long, long time. And I even did think they were my thoughts. And I thought, why am I thinking this way? And I said, surely somebody someday somehow loves me. Surely my kids love me. No, they're better off without you. And I had this pull in my head back and back and forth, but I'd hurt my kids so much if I wasn't here. But they're better without you. You're a burden. And it was just a horrible way to live. I can't explain the painfulness of this ongoing battle in the depth of my spirit because I was so deep down in this dark place. And in May 2022, my twin granddaughters were born. And although I didn't come out of my depression at all, I remember being able to walk to their house because they're very close and look at their little faces and see their innocence and see them shining as they looked up at me, expecting me to sing to them again, expecting my smile, expecting my love. They were just tiny little babies and they knew that I carried this love for them. And finally, I had not one, but two people who wanted my love and really appreciated it in their own tiny little way with their own little special spirits. They loved me and they'd shine looking at me, and I'd sing my little songs. And I'd say, I'm going to teach you and I'm going to read to you and we're going to dance together. And I've got so much to give you. And they brought happiness to my heart for the first time in years, but it wasn't enough to pull me out. I still, the rest of the day, every day, was on my bed in my room eating, and I didn't take care of myself and I didn't try to lose weight. I just let myself get worse and worse until that day that I've talked about, August 14th, 2022, when my daughter looked at me and said, Mom, I'm just so sad. They love you so much already, and they're never going to know you. They're never going to know the stories you have to tell them. They're never going to know the songs you have to sing them. They're never going to dance with you. They're not going to have your love. They're not going to know the gentle, beautiful person that you are. Still, I can't talk about it without crying, and it's 2.5 years later. Um, and my world changed because I realized that maybe they needed me, and maybe for the first time in my life, someone really did need me. And the profound love my daughter was showing me in this moment told me that she cared too, and maybe my other kids cared too. And it shook me up, and it shook me in a way I didn't expect. And the healing started that day. That day, I made the decision and showed up at an online meeting for people who overeat because I thought it was about the weight at that point. I thought I was depressed because I was so fat, but I was so fat because I was in so much pain, and I was eating because I was in so much pain. And through releasing that pain through means like journaling and a lot of things I talk about in other videos, and especially through my faith and giving that up to my creator, giving that up to what I believe my creator to be. And you may say God, you may say God, you may say the light or love, the universe, my gut feeling, that still small voice, Mother Nature, whatever you have that you have faith in, that's enough to give it up to and work through that pain with, because that is where the healing is. Releasing that pain and knowing that something better is waiting for you, that you deserve better and you can find better. That is where the magic is. That's where my healing really happened. I had had years of therapy. I had been hospitalized for depression. I had had pills. I had had whatever you can't talk about it. I would tried it. But until I learned to use my faith to give my pain to, I could not heal. But I did heal, and I have healed, and I'm here to tell you that you too can find your way through the pain and out of the darkness and lift yourself out of the ashes and brush yourself off and live a better life, a happier life. And I'm going to tell you right now, my life is not easy. I have very sad circumstances in some ways. I have situations around me that are beyond challenging. I have tremendous stress, but I don't live in these things anymore. They surround me, but they aren't my identity. I'm in a healthy relationship for the first time in my life. And that is not my identity. It's a good part of my life, but it's not my identity. And I have healthy relationships with my children. And again, I love them so much, but they're not my identity. I bless them and give them what I can. And if they give back to me, that's amazing. But if all I can do is love them, that's okay too. I'm not scrounging and flailing and floundering, hoping to find somebody's love, hoping to find somebody I'm worthy of anymore. Because you know what? I am worthy of my own love. I'm worthy of God's love. I'm worthy of believing in myself and trying hard for myself. I hope this resonates with you. I hope it speaks to your spirit. And if it does, leave a comment and let me know. And maybe another time I can share more of my story because there's always more with me. And be sure to know that you are worth every little bit of effort it takes to have the healing too. You're worth the love you deserve. You have no idea how strong you are until you take that first step. When you make that decision, it's profound. When you take that first step, it's life changing. You are worth getting past the fear and getting past the doubt and getting past the disbelief in yourself. So be sure to know you're stronger than you think, you're more worthy than you think, and you're an amazing, lovable, kind, good person who deserves everything good in life. Most of all, that you can feel the same love, that you can let your own light shine to the world and be an inspiration for others too. I hope to hear back in the comments from you. Be sure to give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'll be back soon with more.